ladies and gentlemen. I think I speak for all conservatives when I say great to have her in the movement, a lady of integrity, character, and of course she is fine. Honey, I'm coming home soon. It's just a joke. I love you. Sorry, you taking this from me? Okay. News of the day. You know Joe Biden is meeting with the Pope. You've heard about this. Yeah, that's first on the Pope's list of things to do, folks. I'm sure he's sitting there going, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm the Pope. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to shake the liver-spotted hand of this pro-abortion, pro-gay marriage, Catholic-claiming it, anti-Catholic agenda-pushing, hair-plugged putz. Oh, I'm so glad that I'm blessed enough to look into his beady little cobalt blue contacts and his fake Zoom-whitened smile while he tells me stories that never happened with people he's never met from places that don't even exist. Hey, Joe, you're a Catholic, I'm a Catholic. Let's get together. Let's talk about saving the unborn and bringing the American populace closer to God. Oh, you're not on board? My mistake. That's okay, Joe. I'll just go call Pelosi. Ring, ring, Pelosi. Hey, let's go take communion together. What do you mean you've been refused communion? I'm so tired of people using their religion as a platform for political gain here. Listen, these people get mad and say, you can't judge my personal faith. No, I can't, Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden, but I can judge your walk by the same book you claim to follow, which tells me to judge your walk by the fruit of your tree. And with all due respect, Mr. Vice President Biden and Ms. Speaker Pelosi, the fruit sucks. All right, with that, we're going to bring up our next guest. No, honestly, this lady is fantastic. I've spent some time with her before. A fantastic addition to the conservative movement. She's been a national leader in the conservative movement since the publication of her best-selling book in 1964 called A Choice, Not an Echo. She is founder of Eagle Forum. Her commentaries can be heard across over 900 radio stations across the country. Just a fantastic lady. Please give a huge warm welcome to Mrs. Phyllis Schlafly, ladies and gentlemen.
I wanna roll my windows down and cruise.
Good morning, conservative CPACers. Great to be here. And thanks to Sarah Palin for her leadership and for warming up this great crowd. We appreciate it. Now to the nuts and bolts. I think we need to analyze why we lost last year to a candidate, Barack Obama, who has said he wants to fundamentally transform America in ways we don't want to be transformed. I would suggest that the Democrats had a better ground game than the Republicans. They didn't make use of all you volunteers to get out the vote on Election Day. And I'll give you an example of how the Democrats were so clever in using early voting to get their people to the vote, to the polls. Michelle Obama made a speech at a university in Iowa, and they had set up one of the early voting places right across the street. So she gave her speech about Obama and then said, "I'll march right out and vote for him right now." And that's the way they got a lot of their votes. And of course, there was some fraud too. You know that. But then you look at the Republicans. And unfortunately, we let the establishment pick another loser for us. And the fight we have, and the fight I'm asking you to engage in, is between the establishment and the grassroots. Because the establishment has given us a whole series of losers, Bob Dole and John McCain and Mitt Romney. And even when they picked a winner, George W. Bush, they picked somebody who spent more than the Democrats. He added new programs that cost money, cost the taxpayers money, and he tried to give us open borders, first through the North American Union and then through the amnesty that he lined up with Ted Kennedy. So we need to have the grassroots take over and elect the kind of candidates Sarah Palin has been backing, like Ted Cruz. So that's your challenge, and I urge you to be part of the Republican Party because we have a two-party system. A third party isn't going to cut it. We need to have you working in all those party positions so that you can make sure we nominate and elect the right candidates. Now, why is it that the establishment has given us this bunch of losers? Well, they have certain criteria that they try to enforce on their candidates. First of all, they only want candidates who will vote the way they're told to vote. And, you know, we like to have ones who will go down there and stir up a little trouble and make sure they vote no. You know, they're blaming Ted Cruz for voting no on everything that's come up. Well, good for him. And then they want candidates who will only talk about economic issues and will not talk about the social or the moral or even the national security issues. And that's such a terrible mistake because those social issues are the cause of the fiscal issue, and they are the issues that get to the heart of people, issues like life and marriage and other issues that are the moral issues. And then the establishment always tells their candidates, you want to call yourself a moderate and move to the center. And that is no way to win an election. Now, one of their chief spokesmen was Karl Rove, and he had almost $400 million to spend on the election last year. And he ran TV ads for 31 candidates and only elected 7 of them. That's a pretty bad record. If you had a football coach with that kind of score, I don't think you'd keep him the next year. And so then the other mistake they made was to spend all their money on TV ads instead of on a campaign to get out the vote. And the running of the TV ads is kind of profitable to those who pick the ads, but it isn't doing the job. There are a lot of people who don't even watch TV anymore. And then let's talk about the issue of omitting the moral and the social issues. They are the issues that are costing us so much money. They are the issues that are causing the fiscal problems. Take the matter of the decline in marriage in this country. You know, we used to have a country where we had a great country that was built on the stable traditional family. The father provider and protector and the mother homemaker and parents taking care of their own children. But now we have children who are coming into this world without any father. And that is a terrible handicap to them, but it's a big cost to the American taxpayers. And the Heritage Foundation has made a list of 79 different programs that go to people who are now dependent on government for all or part of their living expenses. Now, they're not all for the little children. Of course, they sell everything. We have to take care of the children. That isn't all of them, but it's a good part of them. And the Heritage Foundation found of these 79 programs, there are 12 programs that are handing out food. There are 12 agencies that are doing housing subsidies. There are 10 other agencies that are doing various kinds of social services. There are 9 that are doing educational handouts of various kinds. There are 8 agencies that hand out real cash. There are 3 that pay utility bills. There are 2 that handle child care. I haven't figured out which is the agency that gives out the free cell phones, but you know they've been doing that too. And this is a terrible cost. We now have about 48% of the American people who are dependent in whole or in part on handouts from the government for their ordinary living expenses. And we don't want to be a nation of dependents. I grew up during the Great Depression. We didn't have any kind of handouts, and we grew up to be the greatest generation. And we don't want to be a nation of people who are dependent on government. Now, Obama talks about a lot of the social issues. Of course, he does everything the feminists tell him to do, and he's come out for daycare. I call it babysitting, but he wants it from birth through kindergarten, through full-day kindergarten to the first grade. And then he's trying to establish a national curriculum that will be taught not only in all the public schools, but eventually in the private schools too. And that's not what we want. That's not the kind of country we want. And then the establishment is trying to give us a lot of bad advice, like we should go for comprehensive immigration reform. And you need to understand that comprehensive is a synonym for amnesty. It's just a code word for amnesty. Reform is another code word for amnesty. And all of them who are coming in will be Democratic votes, because many of them are coming in very poor. They pay no attention to the federal law that says you must be financially able to take care of yourself before you come into this country. And then there's the matter of the national security issues. Obama says he wants to have a zero nuclear world. Well, I know that some of you have probably had those bumper strips on your cars that say, when guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns. You know that. People understand that. Then they also need to understand that if nuclear weapons are outlawed, only terrorists will have nukes. And we need and absolutely have to have the anti-missile system that Ronald Reagan stood for, and that we know is so important to the defense of our country. So these are some of your challenges. We need your help to take back the Republican Party for the grassroots and for the kind of candidates we want to nominate, instead of the ones who follow all the dictates and the orders of the establishment. In other words, we need, again, a choice, not an echo. We don't want an establishment echo, and we don't want a Karl Rove echo. We want the grassroots to be able to pick, and the kind of candidates whom Sarah Palin was backing, that she rattled off for you. They're the kind of people we want, because they're free and independent, believe in America, and don't take their orders from somebody later. Now, Ronald Reagan proved that the way to victory was to have the three-legged stool. You argue the fiscal issues, you argue the moral and social issues, and you argue the national defense issues. And unfortunately, we haven't had people doing that in these last bunch of losers we've had to tolerate. But we need you to get in there and be part of the action. I've been a volunteer in Republican politics all my life, and we need all of you to get busy and be part of the action. And we can prove that we can take back control of the party, because we did it in 1980 with Ronald Reagan. They had their establishment candidate, who then was the first George Bush, and we defeated that. And we nominated and elected Reagan, and he became the greatest president of the 20th century. And another inspiring example is my 10-year fight against the Equal Rights Amendment. And just think, we had everybody against us. We had 3 presidents against us, Nixon and Ford and Carter. We had 2 first ladies against us, lobbying. We had most of Congress. We had all the governors. Some of them even picketed our events. We had 99% of the media. They even had Hollywood on their side. Hollywood stars who did commercials commercials for them and came to the state legislatures to testify. And we beat them all. We beat them all. And this is just an example that people like you, if you're active in politics, and that's where the fun is. What else are you going to do with your spare time? Working in politics, and it has its ups and downs. You don't always win, but it is extremely important. So for further information, I invite you to go to our website, eagleforum.org. I invite you to follow me on Twitter, Phyllis Schlafly, or Eagle Forum. I invite you to come to my book signing table after this program today in Exhibit Hall DE. That's D as in dog, and E as in elephant. What else? And we have to be able to be in a position to choose the candidates we want, the ones who will stand up for America, for the Constitution, for the social and moral and national security issues, as well as the fiscal issues. We need your help. I invite you to join Eagle Forum in being active as volunteers in politics. And always remember, as we say at Eagle Forum, those who wait upon the Lord will rise up with wings like eagles, and we will run and never be weary. And don't you be weary, because the fight goes on, and we need you. Thank you.